Moldplus 5-axis kit offers you a new set of functionality that helps you clean up and set up geometry for surface machining that includes 3-axis up to 5-axis machining, and some very powerful tools to create your curved 5-axis geometry. Now, to access these functions, you can either create a new toolbar that has all these icons, or you can launch them from the main Moldplus menu, and under a new 5-axis subgroup you will see all the new functionality. Now let's take a look at this part. For this particular part, we see that we have certain normals of the surfaces that are reversed. As we go about looking at the part, if we need to set all these normals to the exterior or pointing towards the external direction, this is simply not an easy task. To assist with this, we provide you a new tool that is called Auto Set Normals. As soon as I launch the function, you will notice that we provide you a tessellated image or shaded image of the model itself, and in addition to that, we also display all the normals that are reversed in a different color. So right away you have a visual representation of what the normals are and what the directions are. Now I can move it back and forth. I can also see the normal lines if needed, but what's most important and unique is that if I click on the geometry, the model will get updated. Instead of going through and clicking on each and every face that I have, I can also say with one click, Auto Set Normals, and all my normals are set to the direction that I desire. Now I can also place the shaded image right on top of the part itself. And another unique tool we have is, in case you need all the normals to be set in the reverse direction, with one click you can accomplish that. You notice that with the shaded geometry we see that all the normals are set in the reverse direction. If I pull up the part, you will notice that everything on the exterior is set in the reverse. So we have the ability to easily set all the normals to internal or external side. Taking a look at this part that also has certain faces that need to have the normals reversed. Upon launching the interface, you notice that we can directly see all the faces that are reversed in a different color. I can overlay it and once again click individually on the face just to set them, or click in Auto Set Normal. I'm done. So that is a new and very powerful feature that you have. The next feature we have is something that allows you to analyze the radiuses on the particular part. So we can give you an instant radius analysis and also tell you what the minimum and maximum radiuses are, be it concave or convex on the particular part. Notice that as I scale, as I move my slider based on the range, which says between 0 and 10 millimeters, display all my radiuses, I'm able to see all the radiuses within that range. Same applies between 0 and 100. So I have a very good and useful tool to instantaneously determine what radiuses I have on my part. I can also set a range and distribute the radiuses to be displayed within those ranges. So if I click on multi, I'm right away able to see all the different radiuses that are available for the ranges I've applied. Very easily I can get rid of any additional values that I have and recalculate. So here I'm just seeing for between radius 2 and 50. And I also have a neat little tool that will provide everything in a histogram format, and this will display all the radiuses that are on my part based on a range itself. In the end of the radius analysis, once I have the precise radiuses analyzed, I can copy them to a new level so that I can create additional geometries for as boundaries, or I can just be done with this application. Notice that I can also hide the particular surface details or hide the model itself while I'm doing the analysis. Another new tool we offer with this utility is the ability to create tangent and draft extensions on the entire exterior edges of the part. This is great for pattern making or for model making or 5-axis trimming work where you need to have tangent extensions first and perhaps draft extensions. For that, we have a new feature. It's called part extension, and with this feature you notice that we can apply a tangent offset to the exterior edges and a draft angle and a distance for it. If I click on preview, you will notice that in one click I'm able to create all the extensions that I need for this part. I first have my tangent and then have my draft extension. And when I say OK, I'm done. Another powerful utility we offer with this toolkit is the following. In order to close the gaps between trim surfaces as much as possible, we offer you a tool called Auto Trim Fit. When I run this function, you will notice that simply by clicking on it, Moldplus matches the edges of all the trim surfaces and tries to close the holes or gaps in between all of them. So in one click, I'm able to clean up imported models or geometry where we have excessive gaps between trim surfaces. Another new function we offer is the ability to easily select and set your drive and check surfaces. If I launch the interface, you will notice that within a few clicks we can easily isolate and define all the faces that are required for our surface machining. Now, to define the drive surfaces, in this case, if I just want the interior cavity, notice we have several faces on the solid to select. Holding my shift down, I click on any one of those faces, and in one click I have all the relevant faces. I can also set different colors for the particular faces, and in this case I'm going to say OK, accept it, and now that's done. Let's load another model which has the opposite. In this case, let's say I need to select just one of these bosses. I notice there's several faces here to come and select. If I need all my verticals and the rest that correspond to this particular one, once again, by launching my check drive select, in this case, since it's a boss, I'm going to say auto selection reverse, and holding the shift down, if I click on this, you notice that in one click I have all the faces relevant for that. Again, I can set and choose any color that I want. I can place it on a different level if I like, and continue on. In this manner, you can pre-select and define your faces as check surfaces and drive surfaces prior to entering your Mastercam toolpaths and having to select the surfaces or faces from there. The 5-axis kit now offers you a new functionality that allows you to change the UV direction of any given particular surface. If I launch the interface, I have a couple of options over here. I can either flip the UV direction, and by just clicking on the surface, I can flip the UV. You notice the handle for the surface is easily flipped back and forth, or I can do a U rotation, which allows me to rotate the UV direction to any given angle that I wish. And another option I have is to create a surface based on having 4 proper sides. For example, for this particular surface, if I do a rotation on it and I'm not satisfied with this, I can say give me a new surface, and just by clicking on it I have a brand new surface created. And again, if I need to come and change the U direction or V direction, just by flipping on it, I can change it. The Moldplus 5-axis kit offers you a new and very powerful feature that allows you to create curves and normals or tilt vectors directly on your geometry with superior ease. Now, this helps you specifically for doing your curve 5-axis toolpaths. So if I want to create a normal and a curve directly on this surface at this particular point, simply by clicking on it, I directly get a normal and a point on that surface. Now, if I go further down on that particular surface, you'll notice that I get a curve being generated as I drag with the mouse to the edge of that particular surface, and now I have another normal and the curve corresponding. Now, if I need to go along this particular face, you notice that as I click on this face and drag my mouse, I have a curve and a new normal created. So I can go about creating the curves and the normals that are connected with superior ease. Now, in addition to being able to create these normals, I can also grab onto any of those normals and dynamically rotate them to any given angle that I wish. I can also lock the lead lag angle just by holding the L key down. I can lock my lead, or I can lock my side by holding this S key. Notice there's a lot of shortcut keys here. And I can also apply a specific custom angle if I wish by entering the value within the dialog for lead lag angle or side tilt angle and apply it to that particular normal. So I have a lot of flexibility in creating the curves and the normals and being able to manipulate the normals. Now, in addition, if I wish to create new normals, you notice that currently for this curve all the breakpoints are indicated by these particular points. If I need to create a new normal vector, holding the shift and the I key down, if I click at this particular point, I get a new normal created. Same over here. If I need to create a new one, shift I, and I can easily create a new one. So very easily I can insert new normal vectors, and at the same time, if I need to get rid of any, holding the shift and the D key down, I can easily delete normals also. So now you've seen that you have a very easy and powerful tool to create the normals and connected curves. Once I'm done manipulating my normals, the next step is, of course, to attempt a toolpath and see how it relates. Now, let's go create a curve 5-axis toolpath on this. Multi-axis, curve. And at this stage, I'm going to say for curve type, I know I can select it by colors, so I'm just going to activate by colors. And since I've created the curves in a different color, I can change that very easily. The next is to highlight and select all the tool axis controls. So in a few clicks, or one of many selection methods in Mastercam, I can pick all my tool axis. Next, let's just go pick a very simple tool real quick and change my cut parameter radial offset back to 0, and right away I have a tool path based on the curve and the normals that I've created. Now what's neat about this tool is that if you've created this tool path and later you wish to manipulate it, coming back to the interface, I am able to rotate any of these normals, and notice I've made some dramatic changes to this particular one. And when I close and when I regen, you notice that there is associativity between the geometry that was just created, the normals, and the curves. Now, in addition, I can also apply a curve offset, let's say a 5mm curve offset, and you notice that all the geometry is offset accordingly. I can do it in the positive or the negative particular offset. If not, it'll work just fine too. So I have all the control and flexibility to create my curves. Now let's look at this for a couple more options. In addition to creating these curves, you notice that I can create several new paths also. So if I say give me a new path, and now I want to create a new one right on this particular edge, very easily I can go about creating the curve on the edge. Let's set my offset back to 0, and let's also snap to edge. Now as I go about the edge, you notice that I'm able to easily create all my curves and normals. I can come back over here and say snap to this edge, and now I'm done. Now I can set everything back to 0, and now you notice I have the curves created for this. And in addition, if I say simulate with tool for this particular path, I'm going to be able to see that I have the curves starting and ending at the same point. Let's take a look at another part that is a welding part that requires us to create all the edge curves and the normals. Having seen the functionality, we can use the auto function to get all the curves for the edges. So you notice in one click I have all the edges that I need, including the normals. Now, at this stage, I can get rid of the paths that I don't want, check them, and then right click, delete checked, and I'm only left with one. So if I simulate with tool, you notice that all the angles are in the default normal direction. Now if I need to set all of these to a 45-degree tilt for the lead lag, I can set the angle value. In this case I've set it to -45. Now as soon as I get a hold of it, I can hit the Q, and that will immediately tilt the angle. So you notice in a few clicks I can create the normals and set the precise angle for them also. In this manner, I can create the curves and the normals and apply a tilt as needed on the part and geometry. If I go about creating the normal on this particular part, if I have the snap to edge option active, now if I need to create the curve that goes along the surface and does not respect these, by coming and clicking on the surface right over here, notice that I get the curve created directly on that particular one. Same over here, it propagates along this. Same if I come up to here, it propagates the curve along the edge of that particular surface and creates my curves accordingly. In this example, you will see the possibility of utilizing a pre-existing curve to use as the drive curve for the new curves and the normals. For this geometry, the red geometry indicates the curve they would like to follow. Launching the dialog, clicking on the drive curve button launches the Mastercam chain menu. Now I can chain the pre-existing curve, and now this will become the reference upon which I need my new curve and the normals will be created. So now I can click on the faces and easily create my new curves, and you notice that it respects the pre-existing curve and creates the normals accordingly. So in a few clicks I'm able to take a rather complex part and create my curves and my normals with superior ease. This concludes the new Moldplus 5-axis toolkit demonstration.